Hello, Church of Christ the Redeemer. Today I greet you from home, where I am sheltering in place, like all of us. Tomorrow, March 25th, is the Feast of the Annunciation. I'm going to prepare a reflection for the feast for our Facebook and web page, but I'd like to share one little insight with you today. We all understand certain images and symbols. If a conquering warrior comes into a city as its liberator, we usually imagine that warrior on a white stallion. So when Jesus comes riding into Jerusalem on a donkey, we all understand that Jesus is not a conquering warrior. Well, there's another convention that's used in literature to describe a very, very important person. And the way that they would describe it, they say that he died on the same day he was born. Now, if you can pull that off, that must mean you're pretty important. Now, we don't know exactly when Jesus was born. The best guess is around the year 4 BC. Which puts him a couple years ahead of his time, which makes sense. But we do know the dates of Passover. And there are two dates that everyone agrees on. Jesus was either died on March 25th or April the 6th. Now, of course, we celebrate Jesus' birth on December the 25th, which isn't even close. In fact, it's 9 months from tomorrow. But Jesus is not just any important person. Jesus is the Son of God. So on March 25th, we don't celebrate Jesus' birth. We celebrate his conception. On March 25th, the angel Gabriel announced to Mary that she would bear a son. And the interesting thing about this feast is that because it's so close to the end of Lent, it sometimes happens during Holy Week, and so it's not celebrated until after Easter. It's sort of a hidden feast, which seems very appropriate. Typically, it's a couple of weeks before a woman is aware that she's pregnant, and then a couple of weeks after that before the news is shared. So here, hidden in Lent, as we approach Holy Week, we find out that God is already sneaking into the world. God's life is already beginning in the world. In the midst of death, we recognize the signs of new life already planted in the world. Tomorrow, then, on this feast, the Archbishop has invited all Catholics to pray the Our Father together at 12 o'clock noon. So at noon tomorrow, I'm going to go to the church and ring the bell so we can all join in that prayer. Also on Friday of this week, Pope Francis has asked the whole world to pray together at the same time. And the time he suggested is 6 o'clock Roman time, which for us is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, on Friday, I'll ring the church bell at 1 o'clock so that we can all join in prayer, not just for our diocese, but for the whole world. As we move forward now with more restrictions, I'm also mindful of trying to limit our exposure to one another. So our plans for the Palm Sunday Mass are now more limited than they were before. We will record a Mass for Palm Sunday, but it's going to be much different than we've done in the past. However, we have a video from 3 years ago when we did the Passion of Matthew, and it's an audio of the cast, and it's tied to the images that we used in church during the proclamation. So I'll put that video on the Facebook and the web page. During Holy Week, we're going to post several different reflections and videos for your reflection. But I encourage you to watch the Holy Thursday and Good Friday celebrations from the Cathedral with Archbishop Vigneron. Those will be on the Archdiocesan webpage, as well as should be on some of the television channels. On Easter Sunday, we will have Easter Sunday Mass, and I hope to record it very early in the morning while it is still dark. We're most grateful for your response to our call to continue your regular stewardship. People have been dropping envelopes off. I found one in the mailbox today, and our online giving has increased as well. I can also tell you, as I expected to be able to share with you, that there's been great response to our plea to help fund the sandwiches for the Baldwin and the Hope Shelter. We are going to keep the church open as much as possible from 9 to 5 every day, but we ask you to use the two small chapels, the Eucharistic Chapel and the Gethsemane Daily Mass Chapel. It's easier for the maintenance staff to clean a small space rather than the main church. So again, this week, I encourage you to pray for one another and pray for the whole world as we face this crisis together. God bless.